So first of all, I would like to thank EVG Global Network and my upline for introducing Elite Career into my life. So my name is Dawn, your MC for this evening session. So before we begin, our AVT has put your Zoom on mute to allow the session to run smoothly without interruption. You can use the chat function during speaker sharing. And later on, we'll have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, you can unmute to voice it. But of course, if it's not convenient to on your mic, you may use the chat function to type in your questions. Picture will be displayed during the presentation. So if you can't see clearly, you may use the zoom in function for a clearer view. So we have been living with COVID for the past 2 years, and we might see on social media that people share their acute result. Some of my friends mentioned that they have high fever, bad sore throat during their COVID, and after COVID, some of them lose their taste bud, become easily tired, and stamina seems to have dropped and easily breathless. So question here is, why are viruses so scary? What's the virus incubation period? And how can we reduce the risk of infection? So I'm sure you want to find out more. That's why we are here today. So let me now invite the speaker for this evening to share the topic, Big COVID-19. So let's welcome Jia Hui.
Thank you, Dawn. First of all, I'd like to thank EVG Network and my upline. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Jia Hui. So I'm really grateful that I get to share this topic with you tonight. So I'm sure it's been a difficult 2 years for everyone with rising COVID cases and the economy being severely impacted. So many people who were working abroad were unable to return home for New Year renewal. And for some, their wedding plans were constantly pushed back. Thankfully, more and more countries have decided to open up their borders. So we also can see that vaccinations are very common right now. So some may wonder if this means that COVID will be phased out. Actually, that is not the case because we may have to live with COVID for a long time. And right now, we are more concerned about the fight against long COVID, which has only recently begun. And that is after being infected with COVID, they continue to have symptoms for 2 to 5 months, even up to a year. Even though no virus can be detected in the body, the symptoms persist. So the scientists' attention is now shifting to how they can resolve these persistent problems. So many of you, I believe, are wondering why are people still getting infected even though they are vaccinated already? Or why are people getting infected again? And is it necessary for us to get the booster jab? So we may have grown accustomed to living with the virus, but we should not take it lightly or let our guards down. Let us in fact take a look. What is the source of people's fear about viruses? So according to history, we can see that humans have been through many epidemics. For example, the Black Death in 1347, which has killed 1/3 of the Europeans, and the Spanish flu in 1918 has killed 100 million people. And not to mention SARS, H1N1, MERS, and Ebola in 2013. And right now, we are dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, which has resulted in 6 million deaths. It's just terrifying looking at the statistics. So, what is the difference between viruses and bacteria, and why can't antibiotics destroy viruses? So let me first explain what bacteria is. So the size of bacteria is around 0.1 to 10 microns. So it's a type of living entity. So it has the ability to reproduce by themselves. So it can split themselves into 2 cells once every 20 to 30 minutes. So what about viruses? So for viruses, the size is about 0.02 to 0.2 microns. So it is made out of protein code and limited amount of genetic material such as DNA and RNA. So unlike bacteria, viruses are non-living entity. It multiplies by invading host cells. So the hijacked host reproduces new viruses to infect other cells. So can you imagine the size difference between viruses and bacteria? So if you were to consider a virus to be the size of a human being, the bacteria will be the size of a 10-story building, because the virus is so small that we have to use a microscope to see it. But why are viruses so scary? So because viruses are non-living things. Using COVID-19 as an example, it invades our body cells and hides them to reproduce. That is why no drugs can identify and destroy viruses. And COVID-19 spreads through humans. So with more people getting infected, the virus can mutate more easily. So bacteria, as in the photo right here, it they have cell walls. So antibiotics kill bacteria by destroying their cell walls, preventing them from reproducing. So we can see from this picture over here that viruses do not have cell walls, which is why antibiotics are ineffective against bacteria. So I hope this can help everyone understand that, because antibiotics are used to kill bacteria, they cannot help to kill viruses. Because a virus can cause 90% of the fever, so that's why we must be equipped with the correct health knowledge so we can have a speedy recovery. So normally for viruses, they have an incubation period, and this means the time between getting infected and experiencing the symptoms. So this period is also known as the incubation period. So for example, the incubation period for flu virus is about 1 to 4 days, and for skin infections such as shingles and chickenpox, the incubation is about 10 to 20 days. So for hepatitis A, it takes about 15 to 20 days. So the hepatitis B virus can live in our body for 50 to 180 days. So for coronavirus, so initially we started with Delta, and now it's progressed all the way to Omicron and now the XE variant, right? So this has actually an incubation period of 1 to 14 days. So how long does it take for the virus to spread once it enters our body? So in fact, most viruses can infect others even during the incubation period when symptoms have yet to be developed. So the fact that we're experiencing these symptoms indicates that the virus has already attacked our body. So the virus infectious period refers to the time when the person spreads the virus to others. So those with weaker immunity are more likely to be infected and spread the virus easily. So using coronavirus as an example, so suppose I'm infected with COVID-19. So typical symptoms are fever, coughing, feeling weak all over, and a loss of taste and smell. So according to reports, Omicron will likely to stay in our body for 7 days. So when we're tested positive on the second day, the next 3 to 5 days is the infectious period. So most viruses will no longer be contagious when the symptoms disappear. So how do viruses spread? So firstly, it's because of close contact with the infected person. So viruses can enter our body through our hands. But how does it spread through our hands, right? Because COVID-19 is primarily transmitted through infected people's respiratory droplets, such as our cough, our sneezes, and our talks. So when we talk. So if we accidentally touch the virus-infected droplets and rub our nose or our eyes with our hands, this will introduce the virus into our body. So taking a look at this picture on the right, so if two persons are conversing without masks, right, the person has the potential to infect the other party if they are asymptomatic. So the risk of getting infected is the highest. So the droplet infection rate can be reduced if both of them are wearing masks and keep a distance of more than 1 meter. So this is also why people who are tested positive must wear masks to avoid spreading to others. So if there are children at home, it's important that we educate them, because particularly for the younger ones, they like to rub their noses and eyes. Yeah. So second of all, so the virus can also spread through airborne transmission. So when people with weakened immune system inhales the virus, it enters the body through the respiratory tract and infects the other organs such as our lungs and our heart. So COVID-19 can also be transmitted through blood, so such as when a person draws blood or a pregnant woman cord blood. So it can also be transmitted sexually. So the last but not least, salival transmission. So sharing a meal or even kissing can infect the others. So now that we know about how COVID-19 spreads, let's talk about vaccines. Because during this pandemic, the majority of the countries have implemented vaccination simultaneously in order to achieve herd immunity. So first off, let's understand how vaccine function. So to put it simply, so vaccines let our immune system know how these viruses looks like, so that they can produce the antibodies to combat them. So it can even remember the appearance of these viruses, so that the next time we encounter it, our bodies will reproduce these antibodies needed to destroy them. So developing vaccines can take a lot of time and money. So a lot of research is unsuccessful. So that is why also we don't see many vaccines around us. So some may be wondering, how come COVID vaccines are invented so quickly? So to answer that, we should first understand about the history of vaccines. Since SARS atypical pneumonia in 2003, MERS and in 2012, actually they are all the members of the same COVID virus family. So scientists have since begun to investigate the COVID virus. So SARS happened to be under control before the vaccine was developed. So scientists used the SARS vaccine research results, combined it with the most recent recent findings, and that's why the COVID-19 vaccine was available in just a year. So let us take a look at the types of COVID vaccines. So these are some of the common vaccines that you see around us: Pfizer, Moderna, Sinovac, and AstraZeneca. So to share with you, vaccines like Pfizer and Moderna are mRNA vaccines. What does it mean? So it makes use of this coronavirus gene arrangement to teach ourselves how to make a protein that will initiate an immune response within our bodies. Because such vaccines are not viruses, so we can be rest assured that we will not be infected. So for Sinovac, Sinovac is a vaccine that uses dead COVID viruses to research the vaccine. Because the risk factor is low, our bodies will not have significant reaction to it. So as a result, scientists will include adjuvant stimulant to ensure that the vaccine will evoke an immune response, so allowing our immune system to produce more antibodies to serve as a preventive measure. So another vaccine, also known as AstraZeneca, this vaccine uses the vaccine as a carrier. So it changes the DNA so that it doesn't cause any disease to our body. And when it's injected into our body, the cells will produce coronavirus spike proteins. So these are components of the virus that may be the virus hands or even the leg. So this virus is similar to the harmless adenovirus. So which will trigger immune response. So when our B cells sees it, they recognize it and produce antibodies. And this is how it protects us. So here, after hearing my explanation, it appears that vaccines are extremely safe, right? However, why are some people still so opposed to it and concerned about them? So it remains the fact that some people still don't understand about vaccines, which leads to a lot of skepticism. So let's take a look at some of these questions. So first off, is it safe to mix COVID-19 vaccines? Yes, it is safe. It will produce a better immune response because different vaccines will stimulate different parts of our immune system and provide the immune system with various ways to recognize the pathogens. Next up, the virus is constantly mutating. Does the booster jab help? Yes, it does help because the virus continues to mutate. The vaccine's protective effect weakens over time. Hence, it is necessary for us to take the booster jab. So there are also some people that are concerned about the risk of getting infected. So in fact, there is definitely a risk. The question is whether it's high or low. So Harvard University says that everything we do has a risk. So what does it mean? So let's take a look. So they say that everything we do has a risk. So if we say that the risk of a car accident is 1 out of 6,700, then the risk of drowning in our bathtub is 1 out of 840,000. So the figure may seem to be insignificant, but it can occur. And the risk of a vaccine causing a severe reaction is 1 out of 1,000,000, while the risk of an mRNA causing a severe reaction is 11 out of 1,000,000. So as a result, you can see that the risk is significantly lower. So moving on to the next question. Some people have been vaccinated. Will they still be infected? Because we can't prevent the viruses in the air from entering our bodies, so getting vaccination is the first line of defense, which this lowers the risk of hospitalization and mortality. So if we don't get the vaccine today, when the virus invades our body, our immune system will not be prepared to fight it. Therefore, will increase the risk as well. Moving on, there is a slight sore at the injection site. Fatigue, fever, and the other symptoms are also experienced. Are these side effects? No, these are not side effects. These are the result of the immune responses. So when our immune cells defend against these viruses, our body will have these reactions, such as a higher temperature, in order for us to quickly destroy these viruses. And the next question we have is, does vaccination cause blood clots, also known as thrombosis? Yes, this is a 1 in 10,000 chance. In fact, this is a matter of chance as well. Let's start with how blood clots are formed. So based on this diagram over here, if we have a little triglyceride cholesterol in our diet, it is easy for us to form plaque, and which gradually build up and damages our blood vessels. And eventually, the plaque will rupture, resulting in blood clot. So taking a step back, which one do we have doubts about? The vaccine, or is it our cardiovascular health? So the following factors also carries the risk of blood clot, increases the risk of blood clots as well, such as using a contraceptive pill, which carries a 0.1% risk, and taking a pill carries a 0.1% risk as well. What about the possibilities of blood clots as a result of vaccine use. So the chances are between 0.0004 and 0.0009%. So AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson vaccines are also included in this data as well. So you can see that the rate is actually significantly lower than the rates of using birth control pills and flying. So if you're not concerned about taking birth control pills and blood clots from flying, then we should not be concerned about blood clots caused by vaccines. On the other hand, if you do not get vaccinated and become infected with COVID-19, the risk of developing a blood clot is 30%. The stakes are so much higher. So if you give me an option, I'll definitely get vaccinated to avoid all these problems. Moving on to the next question. So will I get reinfected after being tested positive before? Yes, it is possible because we cannot prevent the virus from entering our body. So the best way to reduce the risk of infection and spread of virus is to get vaccinated and boost our immune system. So why are some infected people asymptomatic? So as I mentioned earlier, because this virus has an incubation period, so some people may have no symptoms at first, or rather the number of viruses is low. But we need to pay more attention to is that those with asymptomatic symptoms will also face the long-term impact, long-term symptoms, also known as long COVID, which should not be overlooked. So the next question we have is, can I go out if I have symptoms although I'm tested negative? So because the virus has an incubation period, a negative result does not necessarily mean that you are not infected. So we all have a responsibility to protect ourselves and the people around us. So is it possible for us to achieve herd immunity through natural infection? So indeed, like as previously stated, the virus is transmitted from person to person, so causing the virus to constantly mutate, increasing the infection rate and rendering the vaccine ineffective. So when the infection rate is too high, the national medical system will collapse, which also increases the mortality in critically ill and high-risk groups. So as of today, April 18, so the total number of confirmed cases in the world has surpassed 504 million, with a death toll of 6.2 million. So there are 7 major industrial powers of the world. So many of them want to achieve herd immunity by infecting themselves naturally. So let's take a look at the top 2 countries, France and Germany. So the proportion of confirmed cases ranges between 25% and 41%. And this implies that 1 out of every 3 persons, there is 1 of them will be tested positive. So moving on to the next one. So you can see over here, in the statistics here, Taiwan appears to have a higher mortality rate than the rest of the countries. However, when we look at the percentage of the total confirmed cases, the US has 24%, China has 0.01%, and Taiwan has 0.15%. So given that we all have antibodies, if the US wishes to rely on natural infection to achieve herd immunity, we will need more than 80% of the population to be infected. Just how high would the cost be having that many people to contribute to this million death toll? So in China, on the other hand, the zero COVID policy has been maintained regardless of the cost or the economic difficulties, because they prioritize people and their lives first. And adhere to scientific precision, the dynamic zero COVID has been able to stop the virus from spreading. And according to history record, there's only been 1 confirmed case number out of 10,000 people up to this point. So even though its population is 4 times that of the US, they don't slack off simply because they have a larger population. So though many people may say that, oh no, because it's due to a political factor, but the result shows that when compared to the other countries, the death toll has been significantly reduced. And the confirmed cases has also significantly decreased as well. So as long as we can stop the virus from spreading, we can stop more variants from emerging. So it's good for us to not underestimate this virus. So moving on, it's still important for us to stay vigilant. As we continue to live with COVID-19, we cannot undermine it. Many people believe that coronavirus is the same as a common cold because it's so prevalent. There's nothing to be concerned about, right? Is this, however, the case? Can we really let our guard down? Despite the fact that many have been infected with the virus, and after some time, they can no longer find the COVID virus in their bodies. However, they begin to experience some long-term symptoms. So the most important thing right now is how can we get rid of this long-term COVID symptoms? The pandemic is still ongoing. Some may have recovered, but even after 6 months or up to a year, we can experience heart discomfort, breathing difficulties, fatigue, soreness all over, inability to get out of the bed in the morning, loss of taste and smell. These symptoms persist even after a year. These are also known as long COVID symptoms. So we can see over here in this image over here that the lungs of the asymptomatic infected patient on the right have been damaged by 50%. And after 6 months, 52.7% of the patients still have lung abnormalities. And one side of them, even after a year, they still experience shortness of breath. So other than that, heart damage has been observed. So if 60% of this persistent myocardial inflammation, and such symptoms may also appear in people who have no history of heart disease. So the latest studies have also found that the virus can impair the function of our pancreatic cells. So the pancreas-infected beta cells can produce less insulin than usual. So it has also been discovered that some COVID survivors have diabetes after the recovery. So if these long-term symptoms appear after the recovery, the risk of death also increases as well. So we are currently seeing that the number of people who die as a result of COVID is not very accurate. So even if one recovers, there is no longer a virus in the body, he also may pass on after a year due to side effects of COVID-19. So for example, as previously stated, in young adults, myocardial inflammation may appear as no symptoms. However, because the heart muscles have been damaged, if he engages in a vigorous activity, like running a marathon, after his recovery, it would further damage his lung and heart, resulting in a myocardial damage, which can lead to his death. As a result, scientists estimated that even after infection, even if the virus is not tested, there's a 59% increased risk of death within 6 months, implying there will be 8 extra deaths per 1,000 that has been recovered. Therefore, it's crucial for us to treat it seriously so as to protect ourselves and our loved ones. So we can lower our chances of contracting the virus by avoiding unprotected contact with patients as well as wild animals. So there's actually been 29 animals that have been infected with the COVID-19, such as cats, deers, bats, eagles, hamsters, dogs, tigers, lions, ferrets, and many more. So that's why it will be best for us to also avoid touching even our neighbors' pets. So some tips for you as well is to ensure that our eggs and our meat are fully cooked, and when we're cleaning, wash our hands with soap and water and use a sanitizer. So wearing a mask, even a normal surgical mask, can stop droplets from spreading. So let's remember, we need to get vaccinated, and most importantly, and I can't stress this enough, we need to boost our immune system. And why is this so important? So let's take a look at our body's powerful immune system. So from here on the left, you can see this big blue particle is actually our macrophage, also known as the garbage man of our body. So the blue in stars are actually the viruses, and the one in yellow is actually our cells. So the coronavirus enters our body through the respiratory tract. So once the macrophage discovers the virus, it will use its tentacles to grab and engulf it. So once it devours the virus, the macrophage will signal the other immune cells to the battlefield by displaying pieces of digested virus. This is also known as the antigens on its surface. So you can see over here, the one in red is actually our helper T cells. They respond to this call for help and bind to the macrophage. So the interleukin and interferon, which are immune chemicals, will be produced, as shown in the red and tiny blue dots. Because of the presence of the interleukin and immune chemical, other immune cells can now multiply in quantity. So this will allow immune cells such as B cells and natural killer cells to multiply, resulting in a larger army to fight this war. So interleukins will actually prevent the virus from mutating or replicating in our cells. So at this time, B cells, the one in green, will also quickly arrive to the battlefield and continue to produce antibodies. So these antibodies are taking the shape of the white. So in fact, in a lifetime, we are capable of producing more than 1 million different antibodies to combat various viruses. So these natural killer cells, the one in purple, have also arrived at the battlefield. So therefore, when our body's immune cells find that these foreign viruses are invading our body, they'll quickly come to the battlefield, and our body will also have an immune response during the war. That is fever. So the function of natural killer cell is not only to fight and destroy cancer cells, but it is also a good helper to destroy viruses. So it drills holes into this virus-infected cells, which makes it more vulnerable for the virus to be destroyed. So the green one is also the antibody, so it has the shape of Y. So this will lock onto the virus and send a signal to the complement to let it destroy the virus. Then the macrophage will come in and engulf it. So after the infection is brought under control, suppressor T cells will turn off activated immune cells, remembering the characteristics of this virus. And our immune system will store this information in our body. So when a similar virus attacks again, we respond more quickly and deploy the corresponding antibodies to fight. So this is also why we need to be vaccinated first in order to prepare our immune system for it. So if you want our immune system to be able to protect us anytime, then we have to ensure that our cells are healthy so that they can win the war, right? So that is only when our immune system is healthy, when we are vaccinated, our body can produce enough antibodies to fight against this COVID-19. But the question is, how can we keep our immune system healthy? So the easiest way is through nutrition. So therefore, we actually have Rhapsody, which is rich in phytochemicals, which is one of the key nutrients to boost our immune system. So it contains of cactus and American ginseng. So cactus has more than 10,000 types of phytochemicals to quickly boost our immune system and strengthen the antibodies to destroy the virus. And American ginseng, it can bring oxygen to our body, strengthening our macrophage to fight the viruses, preventing respiratory tract infection, and also balance our immune system. So we also need antioxidants to also boost our immune system. So that's why we have rositine, which contains a lot of antioxidant-rich plant foods, such as cactus fruit, rose, acelora cherry, cranberry. So this helps to fight free radicals and helps to slow down aging. So because the younger our immune soldiers are, the stronger the ability to resist viruses. So it can also promote the cell's repair function, allowing our army to reach the battlefield faster. And last but not least, we have polysaccharides, another key nutrient to boost our immune system. So this can be found in immunity, which consists of EBM mushroom and ABM mushroom. So in the early 1960s, Japanese scientists discovered polysaccharides. So it helps to enhance interleukin and interferon, which helps to also increase the activity rate of our natural killer cells by 49 times. And not to mention, it also helps to enhance our B cells and macrophage to destroy the viruses. So for cordyceps mycelium, is extremely rich in polysaccharide, which helps to regulate our immune system. So this also helps to strengthen our heart, our lung, and kidney function, which can improve our breathing difficulty. And we have ABM mushroom, which helps to prevent viral infection. So this helps to improve our immune system sensitivity. So when the virus comes in, we can have a faster reaction to destroy these viruses. And it also helps to strengthen our production of interferon, which helps to prevent the viral infection and replication, as well as strengthen the production of interleukin. So this increases the number and activity level of our B cells and natural killer cells, and it's helping us to destroy the viruses faster. So there's also some plant foods that can help to strengthen our detoxification function of the macrophages, such as ashitaba, green tea, and also jasmine. So ashitaba has antiviral properties, and this can reduce the cardiovascular disease and protect our brain cells. So green tea has an antioxidant effect to protect our brain cells, also to prevent diabetes and cardiovascular disease. And we also have jasmine. So this has antiviral, anti-inflammatory, and also anti-aging properties. So this helps to protect our nervous system and our liver. So these ingredients can be found in cha moment. So in general, we must practice 4 healthy routines in addition to paying attention to our diet. So firstly, we get enough sleep because it's necessary to regenerate cells, especially after vaccination, in order to maximize the vaccine's effectiveness. And second of all, keeping up with moderate exercise. We can incorporate some simple exercise such as walking. This can help to improve our lymphatic circulation and detoxification function. And thirdly, keep positive attitude, remain happy, and try to avoid getting angry because our health is really important. And number 4, last but not least, having proper, pure, and balanced nutrition is essential. We need to consume at least 10 different types of vegetables and fruits every day. And in this way, we can boost our immunity and also combat the virus. So each of us has a part to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So some may say that this is because so many people have been infected, including their family members, relatives, and friends have been infected. So they might think, let's all get sick and test positive together. Because we have to be infected at some point in time, right? So if we still believe that achieving herd immunity through natural infection will work, it will come at a high cost. And how many people will have to be sacrificed? So scientists have decided that COVID-19 has been spread over the past 2 years, and experts have also advised us that as long as the virus is passed from person to person, it will mutate again. So it can be seen that in Delta, Lambda, and Omicron variants in 2019, and the currently new variant, XE variant. So even though for those who have recovered, they still face the possibility of reinfection. As a result, it's not about the country's regulation. It's more about ourselves. We can contribute a little, wear our mask, even such little contribution, we can achieve herd immunity with the least amount of capital and sacrifice. And with that, I'll end my sharing over here.
Thank you so much, Xia Hui, for the wonderful sharing. So I can also see that a lot of us are actually chatting also in the chat box. So I'll be reading out some good information to share with you guys. So actually I saw one of them actually understand that actually incubation period means actually we won't even know when we are infected. That's really indeed true. That was one of the questions that I also asked in the initial stage. So yeah, and there's another friend who also highlighted that she agreed, don't underestimate it, because actually airborne is actually easily to transmit. So I think, do you guys still remember just now Jia Hui actually showed this PPT slide that it shares about one is healthy, one is infected, and how we can actually reduce the risk of getting COVID-19. Yeah. And also, yeah, I saw one of them saying that she keep reminding her own child that do not touch their face when they are actually outdoors. Yeah. So I can see that a lot of us, we are aware and we also know what to do. And yeah, I saw one, I think is really, we really have to continue to be social responsible. Yes, that's really, really true. Like right now over here in Singapore, right? When we are outdoors, yeah, we are allowed not to wear our mask. Yeah, but when we are indoor, we have to. Yeah, so I think government's borders are also slowly trying to slowly letting go. Yeah, but we still need to keep our surroundings safe and clean. Yeah. So that's right. I think a lot of us are really in this chat, chatting with each other. Yeah. So actually, I believe that every one of us actually we should know that we should have more phytochemicals, antioxidant, and polysaccharide to actually nourish our own immune system. And of course, like what Jia Hui shared at the last part of her slide, it's also that we need to have good 3 factors. Okay, besides the nutrient part, we also need to have sufficient sleep. Okay, and we also need to have appropriate exercise and also stable mood. Yeah, so smile every day. Yeah, say hello to your colleagues, your children. Yeah, always laugh also. Yeah, so we will certainly get a strong and healthier immune system. Yeah, so actually for the next part of the session, right, we will have actually arranged this lady in her 20s to share with us her COVID experience. So what are the symptoms she has actually experienced and what she did during her recovering period. But then because she's working today, she has pre-recorded her video for tonight. But before I ask the AV to show her video, I would like to seek everyone's cooperation by not taking any photos or personal video during the testimonial sharing. Thank you so much. So AV team, please.
And today I'll share with you guys about my experience with COVID-19. I got tested positive on 21st October 2021 in the morning before I headed to work. This comes after both my sister and mom got tested positive days before I did. I did my ART test at home. Initially, I thought I was fine as the test came out as negative at first. At that point of time, I was changed and ready to head out. But a very faint second line was shown after a longer wait. I decided to do a second test just to make sure I was okay. However, I did have a little flu that morning and I thought it was just a normal flu. The second test kit came out just like the first with a very faint second line. That was when I knew I was really positive. So I did go to the clinic to do a PCR test that morning and immediately went into isolation. I did not have any symptoms before, but after that I did experience like flu, headache, backache, loss of sense and taste, but thankfully no fever. And this is the isolation order that was issued to me by MOH. I've always been maintaining my health through nutritional immunology food therapy. So even though I was tested positive, I still do the same. And I felt that, this happened to me already, so I will face it and I know that I can recover from it. So in order to boost my immune system, right, I consume food that is like high in polysaccharide, which is cordyceps mycelium, and food that is high in phytochemicals, which contains cactus and American ginseng, and also high in antioxidant beverages, which contains roses, acelera cherry, cactus fruit, and cranberry for speedy recovery. My breakfast is high in protein, which contains soy, psyllium husk, and a variety of vegetables. And my tea time, I will have monk fruit, raisin tree fruit, and American ginseng. On day 6, I felt much better and I already tested negative, but the sense of taste and smell was not back yet. But I continued to consume my foods that are high in phytochemical, antioxidant, and polysaccharides regularly. And following the regulations then, I isolated myself until the 30th of October before discharging. But I'm very thankful for Dr. Chen's research in nutritional immunology food therapy, which made everything so convenient for us and that I'm able to fully recover after. So
Let's congratulate Yan Ying for winning back her health. So she actually also recorded a short video on which elite product she has consumed. So let's watch.
this period, I consumed one day 2 packets of immunity, 2 packets of raisin tree like this, soy green for my breakfast, and also Rhapsody and Rosy Time, 50 ml each, day and night. With that, I end my sharing here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ABT, and also congratulations to Yan Ying for sharing with us her testimonial. So she actually also mentioned that she has always been maintaining her health through nutritional immunology. So she was not worried at all and recovered in a short period. So congratulations to her for winning back her health. So actually, elite products are plant-based food, which are very beneficial for health maintenance. However, elite does not advocate any forms of self-diagnosis or medical treatment. If you have any medical condition, please seek professional medical help. Yes, so we will actually have our Q&A session now. So if you are not convenient to on your mic, you may actually use the chat function to type in your question. You may unmute, introduce yourself first, and then ask your question. So let's also limit it to 1 question per person. So just let me take a look at the chat box. Okay, I saw one of the comments here. It says, some of my friends tells me that the product is good but expensive. How do I reply them? Yes, so this is actually quite a good question. So may I just ask for the Q&A team, is there someone who can answer this question?
Good evening, Dawn. I can help in answering this question.
All right, thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Aina. Thank you for these friends in asking these questions. This is a very common question that many of my friends have said to me as well. When the persons tell me that the product is good, but they are expensive, I believe that the persons have consumed the product before, and he or she must have experienced the improvement in their body. So firstly, I will check with the person whether he or she is aware of what is nutritional immunology. I have a few slides over here. Allow me to share. Yeah, thanks for waiting. I will explain to the person's preventive sign versus medical sign. Preventive sign is based on nutritional immunology and the path to health. We need to take a balanced nutrition diet, sufficient sleep and rest, regular exercise, and maintain a stable emotion. I will also explain to these persons that prevention is always better than cure. There is this Chinese saying, to prevent a sickness, a small cost is spent. To cure a sickness, a big fortune is required. Our immune system is the best doctor in the world. So to strengthen our immune system, our human immune cells need daily nourishment. Okay, so some people might find that consuming this product is luxury and not necessary. We might want to ask ourselves, where are we investing our money in? Okay. So as you can see from the second slide, every one of us have two banks in our life. One is the money bank where we kept our hard-earned money, and the other one is our health bank. So we use our money banks to buy things such as property, car, pay for our children's education, bring our loved one for a holiday, and use it to pay for other expenses. All these are considered important to us as they are necessary for a better life, right? So do you know that investing in our health bank is also very important? We could have many dreams when we have a healthy body. We can establish our career, do things that we enjoy, earn our salary, buy the things that we want, and provide for our family. But once our health bank collapses, it will leave us with only one dream. That is to gain back our health. Just imagine that we can't continue with our job due to our health issue. So how are we going to provide for our family or even ourselves? Okay. Our body is just like a car that you can see over here that need regular maintenance. We can't drive our car until it breaks down and then send it for repair. When this happens, the repair cost, we know that it will be very high. To repair a car, we can always replace it with a spare part or even getting a brand new one. As for us, we only have our one body. It's not easy to find a spare part for replacement. It's always the best to keep our health in good condition. Without a healthy body, we can't go to work, but we still have to pay our medical bills. And nowadays, we know that the medical bills are not cheap. Just a consultation fee can be up to a few $100s, not including the medicines cost or the lab tests. If the person is sick, the family will have to spend time taking care of them or accompany them to many doctors' appointments or even visiting them in the hospital. When a family member is sick, the whole family usually will be affected. They will feel worried and burdened, not knowing whether the family member that is sick is going to recover or not, especially for sickness like cancer, heart disease, or stroke. Having a good, healthy body is priceless. That is why we should invest in our and our family's members' health as well. We should let our family members to have the knowledge of maintaining a good, healthy lifestyle. When everyone in the family is healthy, we will have a peace of mind to concentrate on things that we want to do. So I would tell my friends, investing in our health is more important than anything. Therefore, prevention is always better than cure. Having investment in our health is one of the best decisions that we can make. Children always want their parents to have a longevity life. Likewise, parents always want their children to grow up healthily. Having a healthy life is one of the elements to happiness. I have the same questions in mind that the elite products are expensive when my friends first introduced it to me. I used to have a very serious eczema problem for 15 years. I have tried many ways and methods and spent a lot, maybe 10,000 or even more to cure my skin problem. But all those ways didn't solve my issue. So I'm thankful for giving my friend and myself a chance to know about elite products. Now, I and my family are taking the product daily, and my mom is a great supporter of Rosie Tam. Health is equal to wealth. With this, I hope I have an answer to this question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aina. Yeah, indeed, I think a lot of us actually had this question in mind before, or even our friends are also asking us this question. So I believe that now we actually understand the difference between medical science and preventive science. So we shall be a smart investor to invest our own health based on the science of nutritional immunology. So looking at the chat here, I also saw a lot of us are actually commenting. Yeah, I will just read out some of them. Yeah. So correct. Someone actually said, yes, our body is the only one and unique in the world. Nothing can replace it. That's really true. We get to the other person say we get to enjoy life only when we are healthier. Yeah. So there's one friend who said this. There's a saying, good things are never cheap. Cheap things are never good. Elite products are neither cheap nor expensive, but the content value it have is way over the price itself. And there's another friend who said, I do car maintenance because I still want to drive my car for 10 years. Yeah, that's right. And there's one more I will share. Don't wait until we are sick. Just know how to take care of our body. That's why we need to do prevention. And one last one, I think, is when we really have to ponder through. When is the last time our body undergo maintenance? How long do we want to continue to use them? Correct. So I think with this, I think everyone have learned something today. So just let me see, do we have other questions? Okay. Okay. No. So I don't see any questions. So with this, right, we'll end the Q&A session. So